You know, I've been to Gaza 3 times, was just there 3 weeks ago, as well as the West Bank and to Sderot, Israel. And there's no question in my mind that we need to do much more urgently to try to get help to the people of Gaza and, frankly, to change the long-term conditions as well in the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the occupied territories in general. You know, 600,000 people who live in Gaza are children under the age of 14. They had no decision about whether or not to elect Hamas, and they would just like to have a future like anyone else. And I think we owe them that opportunity. So myself and Keith Ellis and a number of other colleagues in Congress continue to advocate for the U.S. to take a leadership role in getting aid to Gaza.
Most of you probably know the U.S. campaign has an ongoing multi-year campaign to challenge U.S. military aid to Israel. We have organizing packets for you to take back to your communities to help educate people and organize them in your congressional district, in your community, to help build up the grassroots movement that it's going to take to get that S component of the BDS applied in the United States eventually.
It's energizing, really, to meet people from around the country and to enjoy the support of like-minded people.
People are real interested in that. Sounds like a real issue. So congratulations.
And basically what we've been doing is writing tax complaints to the IRS, which is the only official real way to complain about organizations that are tax exempt and inappropriately so organizations that are abusing their tax exempt status. So we've been filing some of these complaints, and I've been doing a lot of research into these organizations, and we've identified all sorts of problems. There's fraud to begin with. There are organizations that are supposed to be charitable in one sense or the other, such as educational or religious, or provide services to the poor, but they're doing things like buying weapons parts, bulletproof vests, things that could be used by paramilitary organizations on the settlements. Clearly not a charitable purpose.
In this one congressional district in Pennsylvania, almost $80 million of those constituents' taxpayer dollars will be going to military aid to Israel.
Well, I live in District 8 in Maryland, which is the district of Chris Van Hollen, who is an important member of the Congress. I do hope that maybe we can offer some perspectives that maybe are a bit original, or ask some questions that will get him thinking about modifying some of his positions in the future, particularly with regard to ending the siege on Gaza, and trying to persuade him to visit Israel and Gaza.
The word boycott originally comes from Ireland. There was a captain boycott, and he was boycotted back in the 1850s, I understand. So I would be a big advocate for Israeli firms to be targeted, and simply passing the message that we find what they're doing is abhorrent.
Rand's office, he said he can only really take 7 to 8 people because the room is
So
not
how
going to be
many
stable.
people can make the Warner and Webb meeting at, what time is it?
11 o'clock.
11. Yes.
My name is Kathy Dixon. I'm a student at the University of South Carolina.
I'm interested in this issue not only for human rights reasons, but I'm also concerned about where my tax dollars.
It was on YouTube, and they were Al Jazeera videos that were taken from their camera people during the bombardment of Gaza. So I put the search on Gaza, saw a lot of videos that were absolutely horrendous and showing that civilians were being killed, kids were getting killed, people that were working with the ambulance drivers were getting killed. So the Israelis were targeting civilians. For me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Look at this supermodel of Capitol Hill.
That was my first time in such a meeting, and I noticed that both representatives were listening to our concerns, and they were taking notes, they were asking questions.
He really didn't say very much, except he listened and was very polite.
He said that he would, get back to us.
He's from the South, so he would be.
Because Rose is on the Appropriations Committee. She's in a key position to introduce some amendments, particularly in terms of the $3 billion that is in the budget for Israel. So I'm going to ask about that, and I'm going to contextualize it from my own experience of having been to Israel and the West Bank, ending the blockade with Gaza, and also the settlements, because I was seeing the expansion of the settlements.
Okay, where are we going? All right, well, my first time on.
How's lobbying?
My first time too.
Pleasure to meet you. I
My
wanted to
pleasure.
thank you for signing the letter to the White House, the Gaza letter.
Happy to do
White
so.
House.
Little by little, making some progress, I
Well,
think.
you are, and it is little by little, but it takes courageous people like you to be able to set the tone. I really mean that.
Well, you know, I've actually called for, I don't know if you saw it, but I've actually called for the U.S. to use roll-on, roll-off vessels, U.S. flagged military vessels to deliver relief.
Absolutely.
So that,
freedom of the high seas is a
well, we
right.
just say,
Should be able to access.
yeah, then we, it's sort of like breaking the Berlin blockade. We just bring them in and we say, there's no question about the security of the Imperial on board because it came on a U.S. ship. Have the Saudis and others in the region pay for it. They've pledged the money already. And then deliver it straight to UNRWA to go straight to schools, hospitals, housing, water sanitation.
You know, if you were to share some of that information with groups like this, we would be able to pass it around.
Have Richard give them the information I've put out about
Because
that.
we'd like to pass around the good work that you're doing
Yeah.
and try
We
to
could
give
get a
you
national
support.
movement for this.
Absolutely, I think it's wonderful.
Give them that information. Have somebody print it out. The Nick's got a discussion of it.
Okay, so where are you from exactly?
Chicago.
Okay, and who did you
Yes.
whose office did you just come from?
A Representative Luis Gutierrez.
Okay, and what were some of the
Yes.
issues you addressed with him?
I addressed the issues of basic issues of life in occupied territories, what it means to live under military occupation.
Well, in Representative Wilson's office, we met with a staffer, and he listened to us and let us make our points. We especially asked that Representative go to Gaza and go to the West Bank to see with his own eyes what's happening there so he can make his own judgment. Because he has been to Israel before, but his staffer wasn't sure if he's ever been to the West Bank or Gaza. And so we really stress that he do that so he can make informed decisions with our tax dollars and with our foreign policy.
No matter how the walls music come through to make them fall and stand still. Just matters of how